one of these celebrity fights is getting set up by Netflix, and it is going to be Jake Paul, who is, well, you don't need me to tell you who Jake Paul is at this point, except for Hembo, who doesn't know, but he's as significant a figure in that world right now as you can be. He's fighting Mike Tyson, and that's getting set up by Netflix. And just the little noise you made there and the face you made demonstrates to me that you understand this in a way that Hembo doesn't, and it's not his fault. Hembo's not old enough. Like, Hembo knows who Mike Tyson is now as a guy who was once the heavyweight champ, and he's been in The Hangover, and he had a one-man Broadway show, and maybe even, the legal troubles and all that kind of stuff. But if you're my age or your age, D. Wood, you remember a time when Mike Tyson was more famous than any boxer since Muhammad Ali. He became a part of the culture in the United States, a part of the zeitgeist in a way that almost no boxers have in the last 50 years. It was like Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard maybe, and Tyson. He was that big. And so for him to be involved in something like this just jumped off the page at me.
Greeny, when I saw it, on Twitter, I was aghast. I was shocked. I'm like, wow, Mike Tyson? Like Mike Tyson was just like an animal in the ring. Like, he was the guy that like, that's who I grew up watching as far as boxing is concerned. And to see something like this being put together, I believe it's at Jerry's World, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, of all venues, like, to have it at Jerry's World, like, it's hard to even wrap my mind around Mike Tyson being in a ring and on that type of stage. I am so looking forward to it. I am so looking forward.
In spite of myself, like, I'm embarrassed to admit how excited I am to watch Mike Tyson fight Jake Paul on Netflix in a 100,000 seat stadium in Arlington, Texas. But I am. I saw Mike Tyson. So in 1986, I went to see Run DMC and the Beastie Boys at the Garden. And Run DMC, during their show, Tyson comes out. And Tyson's just on the stage, and the place went insane. Hembo, when I tell you, the place went insane. He was the baddest man on the planet, as he was described. He was the biggest star in sports. There was definitely a moment of time, and it didn't last that long, but there was a moment in time, D. Wood, where I think he was the biggest star in American sports.
You're absolutely correct. Like, just the vintage Mike Tyson in the black shorts, the black shoes, like coming out in the ring and literally just seeing like his opponent scared to death of fighting Mike Tyson. Like, I've heard like my father talk about like some of the old fighters like Sonny Liston and Muhammad Ali. Like, that's what Mike Tyson was like for me.
Yeah.
Like, coming up and watching boxing. So again, I am so giddy about this. I don't even know if I should be this giddy to watch Jake Paul and Mike Tyson at Jerry's World.
Here's what I don't really know. Like, does this conversation, I don't mean us just talking about it here, but does this belong in a sports conversation? Like, is this a sporting event? I don't even know, I will admit, because I don't really follow these celebrity fights very much. I mean, Jake Paul is fighting legitimate people. He's fighting former MMA guys, right? And he's fought boxers. I don't remember who he fought now, but he's fought some people who have legitimate fighting credentials. No one near the star power of Mike Tyson. But my question is, like, is this a sporting event? I assume they're legitimately competing. Right? I mean, it's not, I don't think it's being heralded as an exhibition. Like, they're both going to legitimately try to win. Like, my first reaction is, could Mike Tyson, could he kill Jake Paul? like Mike Tyson in his heyday, and I know he's almost 60 years old, but Mike Tyson is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. There was a rule, I'm not making this up, in the NCAA rule book that stated that at certain given meal times, schools were allowed to provide bagels with butter to the players, but not with peanut butter, because that would constitute a different level of meal. What the hell are they doing? And because they weren't willing to be even remotely reasonable in letting players cash in a little, they wound up in the Supreme Court where they got laughed at, and now they've lost total control. So do I think the current system works? No. There are no guardrails, there are no rules. It is the wild, wild west, and it's unfathomable that this is where it is. All I'm saying is you don't blame the players for that. Don't blame the players for that. The players were never wrong in the first place. And if the people in power hadn't clung to that power in such ludicrous ways all that time, this would have found itself in a much more reasonable place. And you know what would have happened? Nick Saban would still be coaching today. Because he would have been fine with that. He would have adapted to a reasonable system. You know who else would still be coaching today? I will forever believe? Mike Krzyzewski. I believe Mike Krzyzewski took a look at the situation and was like, what do I need this for? He was in similar situation. Mike Krzyzewski and Nick Saban are incredibly similar. And I don't mean as people, although I actually think they are a little similar as people, but they're very similar in stature and accomplishment and the decisions they made. At approximately the same age, Coach K looked at the situation, right? He was just over 70, right? 72-ish, and that's what Nick is. He looked in and said, this is not what I've done all these years. If this is the direction it's going, okay, you do it. I'm done. I've done my thing. I'm not going to change everything now. I believe that if Mike Krzyzewski was 40 instead of 70, he would have kept coaching. I believe if the situation had been changed to something reasonable, not something totally without any rules at all, he would still be coaching, and I believe that Saban would still be coaching. And if you, like I, believe that those sports are better because people like Coach K and Coach Saban are coaching, then this has been a change for the worse. I'm telling you right now, JJ McCarthy is not going to get past 5 in this draft. The direction this thing is going, you can just see it and feel it. The first 3 picks are all going to be quarterbacks. I don't know who's going to make those picks. I think it'll be Chicago, Washington, and then someone. I'm not convinced it's going to be New England. I think someone is going to go up and someone's going to take a quarterback at 3. Then you have Arizona picking at 4 and the Chargers picking at 5. Neither one of them need a quarterback. The value in this draft, I believe, is going to become McCarthy. I think that there is more. I don't think teams are trading up to get Marvin Harrison Jr. because Rome Odunze, I think there are going to be teams in the NFL who think he's just as good. Malik Neighbors, I think there are teams in the NFL who are going to think he's just as good or at least close enough that I'm willing to take a bunch of, Arizona and the Chargers, trade back a little bit, a few picks, still get a really good wide receiver, and get a bunch more stuff. Teams are going to look at the Giants as the team they have to get in front of. And so I believe 5 is the pressure point for JJ McCarthy.
I think you have this right. Right now, McCarthy has as much helium as any prospect in this draft. Over the last 10 drafts, there are 16 instances of a team moving up for a quarterback. It's obviously become super common. New England at 3 is a potential trade-up team, obviously, and the Chargers at 5. A definite potential trade-up team. I would not be surprised if quarterbacks wind up going 1, 2, 3, and 4 if a team sweetens the pot enough for Arizona at that point.
Well, especially if someone trades up to 5 and then just needs to move up one more spot to make sure Arizona does. If Arizona plays this thing right, I think they have a very good chance of getting whoever it is they really want and getting compensation for it.
Interesting. So like getting Marvin Harrison, say, at 5 or 6?
Or 6. I think that feels like it's within the realm of possibility.